I want to go to our John DelGiorno right now. He's standing actually with Newscopter 7 behind him because they're not allowed to fly in this weather right now. And John, I just briefly want to say it's remarkable what you put into these observations in the last hour and a half. And one thing that has struck me, you said this is just such a rarity. It doesn't happen often. If my notes are right, since 1977, 32 people have died in helicopter crashes in New York City. That's just not a lot of people. Zero is the better number, but I know that. So what the feeling you must have tonight and what you're seeing and what is going to happen. This mystery is about how this happened to this chopper.
Well, I think the big question, Bill, and thank you, seeing that still shot, seeing that video of the helicopter falling out of the sky is really what we're all, and when I say we, it's everybody out here at the heliport, it's what we're curious about, because that you're seeing right there, that has shaken everybody out here, because that is a worst case scenario. There's no controls on the aircraft for the pilot to do anything to try and work for a better outcome here. So that is a completely catastrophic scenario. And Bill, as rare as helicopter accidents are, it's even more rare to see an aircraft shed parts like that. That picture, from those of us out here that you look at it, you kind of know what you're looking at. The aircraft is upside down. It has no main rotor blades and it has no tail boom. And, you know, without speculating, that's going to point towards some sort of impact, whether something hit the aircraft, whether a portion of the aircraft hit itself. That's possible. That sounds crazy. I don't want to get too deep into it, but that's what they're going to look at. But something went catastrophically wrong that left that pilot with really no options.
Talking about what possibly could have happened here. We know that visibility was good at the time. It was about 10 miles. The ceiling was 9,000 feet. Wind gusts were 20 to 25 miles per hour. You know, any other idea what may have caused this? But secondly, you mentioned that there are some clues that we get that the pilot may have known something was wrong. The fact that you've got the balloons, I don't know what the proper term is for that, that they were deployed. So can you walk us through that?
Well, in a scenario like that, if the pilot senses there's a problem, Newscopter 7 behind me, you can see those gray bags down on the skids. Those are the emergency floats that you were talking about. And actually, for us, when we fly in the city, the river would be a desired place to make an emergency landing because it's unobstructed. There's no people there. There's no buildings. It's a good place for us to go. And you're going to count on those floats to keep you on top of the water long enough to be rescued. And that's really the goal. The fact that the floats were inflated on this aircraft could be a sign that the pilot recognized a problem and started going for the water. What happened between that point and the aircraft beginning to shed those parts, you know, we've seen the image with no tail boom and no main rotor. We've seen parts splashing into the river. The aircraft came apart, and you're certainly not doing a kind of speed where you're going to have that kind of a stress on an aircraft, but something went catastrophically wrong, and that's really what the investigation is going to center on.
Right. And that helicopter just went down so quickly, so it was so difficult for anyone to react in that situation.
And the floats actually did their job. They just weren't connected to anything. That's the real problem. John, I got to ask you this, and I've seen you in some terrible situations, and you have seen some horrible things in the last 30 years at the station. Does it scare you, watching all this?
It's a gut check, and I think I mentioned in the last hour, you know, the news helicopter community in New York City, we all know each other. We're actually all hangared together. We all on the other side of Newscopter 7 is a helicopter that belongs to another station. So we're a community. We go out and we compete, and then we get done and we go out to breakfast together. And it's like that all over the TV news business. But when you have an event like this, and all of us make our livings doing this, it's sobering. It's, as you can imagine, my phone has been going all day with people that check in on me, people checking in on my colleagues, on the pilots, everybody's concerned. Days like this, I can tell you that your family isn't too happy with your career choice, but there is also a streak in all of us that we're aviators. I think that we're all, rather than being a news person that flies, I think most of us are people that fly that like to do the news. And that's something that's in your blood. A day like this it shakes you to your core. And more than anything, you have a real sympathy and empathy for everything that happened that led up to this accident.
And we to you, my brother, I'll tell you that much. We're thinking about you and the whole group that does this for a living, and we're going to find out what happened. That's no question about that.